start. Again, my name is Arturo Ureña. Thank you again, Tierra. Before I start, let me just introduce myself, and I'll let my co-presenter introduce herself as well. My name is Arturo Ureña, and I am the legal clinic supervisor here at Part of the Solution PATS.
Hi, everyone. My name is Beth Maris. I'm the supervising attorney here at PATS, and we're really happy to be with you this afternoon.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maeve Callaghy. I'm one of the other staff attorneys at PATS, and we're happy to be here and share information with you all. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm a legal advocate here at PATS.
Hi, my name is Genesee Alonso. I'm also a legal advocate here at PATS.
And we have two other members to our legal team. One is Damaris Santamaria, who's not able to be with us this afternoon, and Jeanette Carrero, who is here with us. And again, thank you for the opportunity to share some information with you today. And I think Arturo is going to start us off.
Sure. By now, you all should be able to see the presentation first page, which is made PATS, part of the solution. Again, I believe we also will be sharing that presentation with all the participants and register as well. Just briefly to start, again, here are part of the solution. We are a loving community in the Bronx and striving to serve all who come to our doors. Part of our vision is that we believe that every person should have access to all the essentials of life. And what we will try to do today is that we'll go over some of our programs. And again, the specific program that we are part of, which is the legal team, we're also going to be able to share in which ways you can also give back to the community, be more present, and if you wanted to learn more about us, how to contact us. We're going to be able to share some stories of some of like what we do see in the day-to-day, and eventually at the end, we're going to be able to answer some questions. So in the meantime, you should feel free to share those questions in the chat. As I mentioned before, we do provide many services, and the way we do it is that we divide it into three partners. And one of them is dignity and wellness, food security, and long-term stability. In a couple of minutes, we're going to go over all of them in more in detail. Dignity and wellness, this is target to some of those services for community members that may not have access to them. Sometimes we have people that do not have a shower, a permanent address, and this is pretty much what we try to cover here. We have shower programs, which is hot showers, complete fresh towel, toiletries that are available between 8:30 and 11 a.m. We also provide haircuts, mailing address, and we also have a partnership with Care for the Homeless, in which they will be providing medical and dental at our facility. For food security, we do have two main programs. One of them is the food pantry, and the other one is the community dining room. For the food pantry, initially we were serving some specific zip codes, but during the pandemic, we were able to secure enough funding to be able to provide assistance to all residents in the Bronx. Essentially, you can come in once a month, and we will give you canned food. For participants that live outside the Bronx, we can provide a one-time emergency pantry or bag, depending on the household composition. But eventually what we do is that we will give information of which places around your area will be able to provide that assistance. So for instance, we had people come in, like any resident from other boroughs like Manhattan or Queens. And again, we provide that assistance that day, we provide the canned food, and then we will provide a list of which places in their area will be able to provide pantry. We also have a community dining room, and again, it's Monday to Saturday from 12:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. And we do have a hot plate. During the pandemic, we were pretty much giving out plates to go. So participants would make a line outside our doors. And as you can see on the picture, the first picture on the top left, people will make a line, and that's what we were distributing, both pantry and also the food. Now that everything is back to whatever normal means, we are able to have people sitting in our dining room and be able to share that food. Now moving into the long-term stability. And one of our programs or department rather, assists client on application to public benefits. And that means food stamp for residents so that they can apply and receive SNAP or food stamp. And that's a benefit in which people can purchase food. We also assist with screen and DREE subsidies, which are 2 subsidies that would allow a specific and people who qualify to frozen their rent, meaning that their rent wouldn't continue going up. And depending on the service, we also provide some other assistance. Anyone that may need more information about it or that may require our services, they can contact us at 718-220-4892, extension 111. 101. 111 is mine. If we are not able to pick up because we have a high volume, feel free to leave a voicemail. We do have a staff that look into voicemail every day, and we try as much as as much as we can to reply those. We do please require that you leave your name and a phone number and a brief message about your situation so that we can have an idea of what information provide when we call you back. We also provide our email address for general information. It will be information@patsbronx.org, information@patsbronx.org. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be sharing these on an email to all participants and people who register. Another part of the long-term stability is our coaching program, mentorship program, and also our workforce mentor program. Ideally, we provide coaching assistance to help clients and families set and meet their goal. And this is a unique program that pretty much will sit down with you and start the planning process. And this is not about us having answers for you, but rather us working with you so that both as a team can create a plan to meet your goals, to help you meet your goals. Again, we are sharing the information about who to contact if any of you would like to know more about the program. And that will be also shared on an email. The workforce mentorship program is similar, and the idea is that for those community members who are thinking about a career change or needing assistance with building their resume, cover letters, mock interview, the idea is that you can come into PATS and we will help you. We will guide you into the right direction. Again, some of us at some point of our life want to look at the resume or have someone with experience look at our resume and provide some feedback. And this is one of the services that we provide. This is one of the units or programs that are expanding, and Beth will talk more about it in a couple of minutes. Now I'm gonna give access to my co-presenter, Beth. But again, I haven't been able to look at the questions, so we want to stop here for a minute and see if we have any specific question about some of the program that I presented about previously. Let me know, Tiara or Beth, if you are able to see any questions. If not, I'll probably would let Beth continue the presentation.
I'm checking now. I don't see any questions yet, so why don't we continue? And again, if people do have questions that come to mind, please share them and we'll
Sure.
try our best to answer them. All right, thank you, Arturo. We're going to move now to a little bit more detail about long-term stability and what the legal team does here at POTS. So just to share, POTS is based in the Bronx, and we do target our services to Bronx residents. There's a very high demand and a very high need in our borough, as I'm sure everyone participating is aware. Some of what we're talking about, though, will have application to the other boroughs, so we hope to be able to provide you all with general information. Here at POTS, we have a team of attorneys and legal advocates, and we work with tenants who are at risk of eviction or otherwise experiencing some form of housing instability. Basically, whatever part of POTS someone first connects with, we all have the same goal, which is to assess the client or family situation, to try to identify any supports that could help stabilize the family in terms of a range of issues they may be experiencing, and then to identify specific tasks and issues that we can provide support on. So in terms of the legal team, the two biggest areas that we handle are eviction prevention and public benefits access. And so that could look, it could look differently depending on what someone's presenting with. It could be that somebody has a case in housing court, or it could be that somebody might have some letters or other notices that are making them fear for the stability of their housing, and they want someone to review those things. We do, as I said, do a comprehensive income screen to try to determine if someone's eligible for any public benefits or other supports, and to try to make sure they're connected to those supports to help stabilize the individual or family. We do represent tenants in housing court in the Bronx, and we also do represent applicants and recipients that are trying to obtain benefits or maintain benefits for public assistance. So we do fair hearings in Brooklyn, and we do other types of advocacy related to accessing or maintaining benefits that we believe our clients are eligible for. In addition, POTS does have a social worker here who's part of our long-term stability team, and she is able to assist individuals who are seeking supportive housing, either an initial eligibility assessment or someone who has an assessment already who's seeking a placement for supportive housing. So there's a separate process to connect with her. And again, the best way to do that is to call our main number, 718-220-4892, extension 101, and leave a message if you're not able to speak to someone in person. And our social worker does provide some other services as well. So again, if you want access to that support, we ask you to reach out to our main number. Again, these are the names of our legal team members. I personally have been with POTS for a little more than 8 years. And we have a range of experience levels among the other members of our team, but everyone is dedicated to supporting clients facing housing and benefits instability. And that's what we focus on. We do also do a general, so even though we focus our services in housing and public benefits, we do, we have a general intake, which means that people can come to us with any type of legal issue. If we don't handle it in-house, we will try to connect that person with an appropriate referral. We do have a relationship with another provider, New York Legal Assistance Group, for disability hearings with Social Security. So we can give direct referrals to NILAG for those hearings and other issues related to Social Security benefits. And then we have a range of other resources available for other types of matters. For example, we had someone who came to us recently whose bank account was frozen because of a consumer debt issue. And we were able to give them some guidance on how to make sure their bank account was unfrozen so they could access their funds. So whatever the issue is, if somebody is able to connect with us, we do our best to try to direct them. Again, our focus, though, in terms of our full service representation is to help tenants who are at risk of eviction, help them maximize their income and their access to benefits. And we also have some private funds that we're able to provide grants to individuals and families who have an emergency need, when that emergency need will be met by our funds. So the most typical presentation is that someone may come to us, for example, in rent arrears, and we've often experienced a situation where the arrears are high enough that HRA is the primary source for rent arrears assistance, and they may say that they need the arrears to be reduced in order for them to be able to provide assistance. And so we often get requests either from tenants directly or from their attorney or advocate to see if we can provide a portion of the arrears so that the advocate or attorney can then raise the balance. And so that's a typical referral that we receive, and we do our best to be responsive to those referrals. Yes, thank you. We're ready for the next slide. Thank you. Some big news that we want everyone to be aware of is that our office is expanding to a second location. This is, the location is going to be on the Grand Concourse at 2450 Grand Concourse on the second floor. This has a side entrance, 188th Street, right near the entrance to the B&D subway line, which is the Fordham stop. We are not yet open at that location, but we will be moving. Our legal team and some other parts of POTS will be moving there soon. In the meantime, we are going to continue to hold our legal intake on Fridays. Our next intake day at this point is May 5th, and we'll do that at our current location on Webster Avenue. We do that on Friday mornings. And then we're going to ask that everybody stay connected with us. We will do our best to get announcements out to the community, but the best way to hear when we are open and ready to transition fully to that second space is to follow us on social media. So we are on all the major social media platforms, and we have a website. We appreciate you stay in touch with us in that way. And you can also email us or call us for any updates. But we're looking forward to that move. It's going to allow us to expand our services. Not only is the legal team growing, and we're in a process of hiring additional staff, we also are going to have, we have a community partner through HOPE, which holds workforce development classes, and they are going to be sharing space with us so that they can continue to provide those services. There'll be classes that are rotating for, I believe it's about a 6-week period. And so we're happy to be able to offer those classes at that second location. That's going to start, the first class is going to start in mid-May at that location. So we thought we would share a couple examples of work that we have done in the past. So I'm going to share the first story that we have here. Arturo is going to share the next one after this. And this is just an example of one of our typical cases, and they present in all different ways. We meet people before they're in court, and we meet people when they're already deep into a court case where they're really at imminent risk of possible eviction. So this example is one of the second, somebody who came to us last fall with a marshal's notice of eviction. And that person had had a loss of work income during the pandemic, as many of our community members did, and then had an injury that kept him out of work for much longer. Fortunately, he applied for and received assistance through the ERAP program, but that assistance was not sufficient to resolve all of his arrears. He started connecting with one of our legal advocates, I believe it was Genesee Alonso, and she assisted him with a grant for about 1 month's rent, and she began advocacy to try to convince HRA to approve the balance. And fortunately, they did approve the balance, and we were able to access those funds. And we were also able to be with the client in housing court to make sure that he was able to get the benefit of the approvals that he had and get sufficient time for checks to be issued. And also it allowed him to be able to return to work so that he didn't miss additional income while he resolved that eviction threat. So that's just one example of one type of case that we were able to handle in the last year. And I'm going to let Arturo share the next example.
Sure. Again, another case in one of the particular of this case is that we were able to work with another organization. And again, here in the housing court community and the organization that provide eviction prevention, we do work a lot together. We collaborate, we know each other, and we try our best to continue those collaboration. So for this specific example, we were partnering with Mobilization for Justice of MFJ. They were representing this specific client. We're going to call the client James in housing court. And they understood the client still needed some additional assistance with the rent arrears before they could discontinue their housing court cases. And that happens a lot. Either you had a portion of your rent, but you still need an additional 1,000, 2,000. And that's kind of like the challenge. Which organizations have that amount and is able to assist. And I'm sure that you have heard before from Housing Court Answer, and they usually have lists of other organizations that may have fundings. And in this case specifically, we were able to provide that remaining balance to help or assist the client to reach zero balance. That specific client had applied for rent arrears, and the total assistance was approximately 19,000 in total when you add what the client got. Again, we were able to close the case. There was not an eviction. The Mobilization for Justice was able to go to court and have the case discontinued, which means that the specific family did not have to go back to court. And when you think about it, again, it's really tough for someone to go by themselves to court. So the fact that they had an organization that was able to provide that specific assistance, which was, hey, I'll be representing you in court so that we can help you navigate the system, helps a lot. And when you add that this specific organization now has these other resources, this specific organization knows people from PATS, people from, I can name them all, but there are many organizations, especially in the Bronx, which is where we focus, that provide some sort of assistance. It could be a month of rent, it could be 500, it could be just legal advice. And that's why it is so important that as tenant and community members, we are empowered, or we know where to go and ask questions. And that's why personally, I'm really proud of the work that Housing Court Answer does in the court, because that's initially when people start like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go. But when they go ask this question and they start getting this, oh, you can go to this organization and they can help you, and they will connect you, and they'll keep you connecting you with other organizations. That's really a great thing to know and to do. Now, moving forward, initially I mentioned that we also want to share some information about how to get involved, how to start, some people really like to give back to their communities, and they wanted to know more about how do we get involved with this organization that are already doing this great job for the community, and how we as community members can assist. Here at Part of the Solution, we do have a volunteer program in which, anyone, we do a lot of like family members that are also our clients that comes back and try to give back to the community. In a way to do that, and just to give an example, when we are doing pantry in the morning, some family come here, volunteer to give out those pantries and those bags to families that are picking up that day. Sometimes they come in the afternoon to bag those fresh produce and get them ready for the next day. For those of you who would like to know more about this program, we are adding the email in this presentation, but again, it is volunteer@patsbronx.org. You can also call those 718-220-4892, extension 102. Again, we're going to be sharing this information, and for those of you who do want to participate and be more involved with us and the community as well. Before we finish the presentation, again, we want to give you the opportunity to look at brief list of what we do and also our contact information and our website. Again, the main extension is 101. I already said my extension at some point in the presentation, but initially the first, it is a good thing to do, call 101, and from there, they're gonna send you to whichever program should be able to assist you at that moment. Now we're gonna move into the Q&A. Beth, yeah, take it away.
Yeah, I just want to say we'll answer one general question first, which is if you're interested in receiving services from POTS, how can you do that? And so I want to try to answer that question generally first. So number one, POTS does not have any restrictions on income level or demographic or immigration status, anything of that nature. Everyone who is seeking our services is more than welcome to receive services from us. And so depending on the service that you're seeking, the access for that service may vary. So as Arturo already shared, our pantry is open Monday through Saturday in the morning, roughly 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And many people first learn of us through our pantry. And then they hear about other services that we're able to offer. Additionally, the community dining room and some of the dignity and wellness services is another way that many people access our services. For our case management team, which is the team that handles SNAP enrollments, SNAP recertifications, SCREE, DRE, and some other programs that people may need assistance in accessing. That access has been varying. Currently, there are walk-in hours on Monday morning, on Tuesday morning, and for a full day on Thursday. So roughly on Thursday, it's roughly 8 a.m. to 3. And I believe it's, I don't know the cutoff for the morning on Monday and Tuesday, but we are open for regular business hours. So if you happen to visit our location, which is at 2759 Webster Avenue, between Fordham Road and Bedford Park Avenue, you can ask for any service that you're interested in receiving, and someone should be able to direct you with how to best access that service. There's one mistake in our presentation I noticed, which is that our mail program is not going to be offered on Saturday. So it is Monday through Saturday in the morning. And so to access our mail program, you register for POTS to be your actual mailing address. And that's for folks who don't have a stable address and they want to receive their mail at our location. And so that's Monday through Friday at the hours that are listed on the presentation. For legal, we get referrals and people reach out to us in many ways. So sometimes people come to us during regular business hours, and if they don't have an emergency, they will most likely be directed to our legal clinic hours, which are on Friday mornings. We had to take a break for the move, but we are restarting on Friday, May 5th, and we start early. And so we do have limited capacity like every organization does, but people will typically come in person on Friday mornings. Again, our services are limited to Bronx residents. So please keep that in mind. But people come in the morning. We typically will greet the people who are here at about 8 in the morning and see as many people as we can until we reach our capacity. It is also possible to call in, but we don't have a phone advice line. So unlike Housing Court Answers, that I think does a fabulous job directing people, we have to we're limited in our ability to answer those questions. So if you've called and you haven't gotten a call back, the best way to find us is to come on a Friday morning. We also have an email that we've shared previously, legalclinic@potsbronx.org, and you're more than welcome to email us directly. Again, I have to caution you that we do have limited capacity, and if you may get a response to your email that says that we're not able to, which you will get if you email us right now, that we're not currently able to schedule appointments or accept referrals. And so we try to keep that updated so that you know our capacity. However, we do still scan those emails and we try our best to respond to as many as we possibly can. Additionally, there are advocates and attorney offices that with which we work regularly, and there's a referral form that if anyone needs it, you can email us at legalclinic@potsbronx.org, and we'll make sure you have a copy of that referral form if you wish to make a direct referral. And what's most helpful to us, if you, for example, are working at an office and you're working with someone, and for example, you want to refer someone for a possible grant assistance, the best way from our perspective that you can do that is to send a referral packet with the supporting documents that help us understand the exact need that the person is experiencing. Again, please bear in mind that we are limited to Bronx residents, and send us that supporting documentation, and then we will reach out to you if we're able to accept the referral. We do have a website that has a lot of information on it, and there's some other general information that's located there. So let me pause and let's see what other questions we have.
Okay, so I'll read the first one there. Are you able to represent tenants who want to file a civil claim against the landlord, or is that handled through housing court only?
Okay, so let me make sure I understand the question. When someone's asking if they want to file a civil claim against a landlord, that can be a range of things. So civil court and housing court is located within the civil court. And one type of affirmative case that tenants can bring is in what's called the HP part for repairs, for the correction of violations, as well as harassment claims. So those happen in housing court, and we handle those sometimes. It depends on our capacity at the time that we get that request, and we do target our services in eviction prevention. And so if someone doesn't also have an eviction prevention need, there is a possibility we may not be able to accept it for the HP or harassment need. There are some other organizations that receive funding specifically to bring those affirmative cases. In terms of affirmative cases in civil court, I guess I'd want to know more about what exactly the case is that the person's intending to file. It's not our typical practice to bring affirmative litigation in civil court.
Great. Then there was a second part to that question. It says, unrelated inquiry, is there a published win-loss rate of housing court outcomes for tenants and landlords?
Trying to make sure I understand the question. So the person is asking, what's the chance of prevailing in a housing court case if you're a tenant or a landlord?
Well, they're asking if there is documentation. Oh, well, he said, Noel said correct. So that's what we'll go with.
I'm not sure of the answer to that question. I know there are studies that have been made to try to evaluate the value of having counsel for tenants. And I believe in those studies, they do break down the percentage of cases in which tenants avoid eviction when they're represented as opposed to when they're not represented. I don't know if it's a general study on quote, who wins and who loses. And in my mind, you want to define what you mean by win and lose. So for me, I would say my primary is that a tenant doesn't get evicted. And beyond that, I would say if a tenant doesn't get a judgment against them. Those are both, in my mind, a win. If a landlord recovers an apartment, that means typically either the tenant surrenders or they get a judgment, and possibly the marshal gets a warrant to evict or remove the tenant from the housing. But there's other things that may be considered when you say who wins. So for example, a landlord may sue for a certain amount and maybe they don't prevail completely on the claim they made. And the question of who's considered to have won in that case really depends on the facts of the case. So I'm sorry, that's not I wish I could give you a better answer, but that's my best answer.
All right. Well, there's no feedback, so I think that's a great answer. Another question, someone asked, they may have missed it, but where can they access the referral packet?
So we don't have it available on our website. We would ask you to email us, please, at legalclinic@pottsbronx.org if you don't have our referral form and you'd like to have it, and we will be sure to send it to you. It's not available on our website. And again, the referral form is really for organizations that wish to refer a case, and there's instructions on how to do that are included with the form. So please email us at legalclinic@pottsbronx.org and let us know that you would like the form to refer people in the future.
Awesome. Are there any volunteer opportunities, or are your volunteer opportunities only in the Bronx? And if so, do you recommend any organizations in Manhattan?
So POTS is based in the Bronx. So when you say volunteer opportunities, I guess I will say that we do work with people from all over. We do have a board of directors that organizes certain events sometimes. And we also have groups that come through, like school or business groups that come through sometimes to support our operations, but we are located in the Bronx. Manhattan, I mean, there's a range of organizations across the city. That's one of the great things about New York. There is tremendous need here, but there is tremendous sources of support. So I guess I would want to know more about what type of organization you're looking for. And if you wanted to email us at Legal Clinic and let us know exactly what kind of organization is looking for, we do our best to suggest something for you.
Great, thank you. What are the exact hours for the Legal Clinic on Fridays?
Arturo, do you want to take that one?
Yeah,
it's a hard one.
Again, for now, we are reopening on May 5th. And what we have on our website is that we start intake, like usually calling the first person at 9 a.m. However, we do recommend people to be here before. And what we have experienced is that people come here before we actually open our doors. We have people here at 7 a.m. outside on a line. And I'll be honest with you, in the past, last month, we had someone that was here outside at 4:30 a.m. Just to make sure that, and again, I'll be completely honest with you, just to make sure that we will be able to see that person. And again, that's without us knowing whatever the person is here for. That's something that we would probably be able to help. But to be safe, I usually tell people to be here at the office outside, before 8 a.m. And that's pretty much guaranteed that we may be able to see them. And we also tell participants to expect to be here at least until 11 a.m. just because it may take some time depending on your case and the assessment we have to complete. It may take some time for us to finish, be able to ask the question that we have to, and be able to, to provide the guidance. I don't know, Beth, if you want to add anything else to that.
No,
and then I can talk about moving forward.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that we don't want anyone to come so early. And we also, as Arturo said, we're not here to be able to manage that line until a little bit later in the morning. We also recognize that it can be a hardship for people to have to come in person and to have to come early. People have school schedules and work schedules and also conditions that may make it difficult for them to come in person. And if you have a specific impediment to accessing us through that way, we would ask you to email us or call and let us know what accommodation you're seeking.
Thank you. There was a question that was sent to me directly. When a client is referred by PATS, when a client is referred to PATS by another nonprofit organization who has done an intake and believe the client will benefit from PATS, is the process the same as a walk-in client? And the answer is not. We usually allow partners, nonprofit, to be able to refer clients directly. So again, after they complete the assessment and the intake, gather all the supporting documents, they will usually email us. And again, depending on the volume we are receiving for that month, we may limit how many direct referrals we get, but essentially they will let us know like a brief introduction and summary of the case. And after that, we wouldn't ask the client to come in on a Friday morning. We may contact the client to make sure that we are also adding the contact information to our own system, because unfortunately, nonprofit do not communicate. Our system do not communicate. So I still need to contact the client. I need to, introduce PATS and myself. I still need to do an intake to make sure that I have all the information, and I'm confirming that the information submitted by the partner nonprofit is correct. And if I need to make an appointment for the client to come in, I'll do that. But essentially, the client do not have to come in on a Friday as a walk-in. There are some instances in which we are not accepting any referral, and we do recommend that partner organization to tell their clients to come in on a Friday. And again, they may mention, hey, I'm working with this other organization, but they told me to come in person for walk-ins day because they were not able to refer me directly. If that answered the question.
Mhm.
Is there
Okay.
any other questions?
Yes. So the next question was, let me scroll down. Is there a limit to how much POTS can give towards a tenant's arrears to avoid eviction?
I can briefly touch on that. Yes, again, as many other nonprofit, we do get grants and funding from other places. It could be private, it could be a different branch of government, it could be other foundations. But eventually, they are the one who determine what is the maximum that we can provide for household and what is the period of time between grants. So again, many people ask like, oh, can you help me again after a month or after 2 months? And no, it is really determined by the grant that is providing that specific funding. Usually, and again, I really don't want to mention a specific amount, but just to be safe, usually a month of rent is a normal of what, or like at least we can provide. At some point, we have been able to provide up to $2,000.
Let me just add, I think our presentation does share a range of possible grant amounts, and we have been able to go above 2,000. But I want to just stress that it's hard to give a general answer to this because it's very fact specific. So each person who's seeking our assistance, we're doing an individual assessment of their need and their resources. And we have to make sure that if we're able to authorize a grant, that they fit into the eligibility requirements for that grant. And so it is difficult to say. So we have some folks who come to us who may be on Section 8, for example, and they may have a very low share. Their arrears may be low, but they may cover a wide date range. And we have other folks who have a very high rent burden. So it's a very much a case-by-case determination. But the range, I think, is on the PowerPoint of possible grants, depending on the circumstances. Monique, I think you're muted.
So sorry. Okay, so the next one I believe was a question. It says referral form are for Bronx residents, any zip codes? I think they're asking, is it zip code specific?
It's the entire Bronx.
The entire Bronx. Okay. And next question, for public assistance, do they need to be in court to be referred to POTS?
They do not. So we do fair hearing practice, depending again on our capacity to handle those things. And that could be a range of issues, public assistance, SNAP, or Medicaid. And we don't often get public assistance referrals, like people do present seeking that assistance. And so we just ask that they make sure to bring all relevant paperwork. So sometimes people will say, I had a fair hearing and I won, but they didn't comply. We're going to need that fair hearing decision, for example. We're going to need the backup documentations to help us understand what's needed.
And then I have another follow-up one here. It says, what's the eligibility? Because earlier it was stated there are no restrictions.
Yes, that is true. We do not have income limitation. I mean, I guess I should say, you know, we have a common sense analysis that we engage in. So, you know, what we experience, the people who are coming to us for help do that because they have the need for help. And, but we don't have, you know, we don't go by the federal poverty or 200% of poverty or we don't go by those standards internally. We do an individual assessment about the need that is being experienced, and we do our best to target our support to meet that need.
And if I had to give an example, I would say that sometimes we do have grants, and one of the requirements is that the family of the household, they need to have enough income to continue paying their rent. And again, we do have a formula to be able to come up with that information. But as I mentioned before, the organization that provide the grants, they do ask for a specific requirement for them to be able to pay any arrears. And just to give an example, that may be one of those requirements.
And if I can just add, we've all experienced during the pandemic a lot of variation in what client circumstances have been. So we have a lot of folks who had good paying jobs, lost those jobs, or were unable to work because of economic or health reasons. And hopefully by the time they've gotten to us, they've been able to restabilize themselves, but they may have a hole to get out of. And so again, just to stress, it's a case-by-case determination, and there's nothing that would bar the person from being able to get an assessment by us as to possible assistance.
Okay. And it looks like that's the last question. So thank you all. Wonderful presentation.
Yes, thank you guys for this workshop and this presentation. Very informative, and I'll definitely be giving my Bronx tenants your information. Once again, thank you everybody for your participation, everybody for presenting and just giving out the, what POTS does. And if you guys want any information to any upcoming events or workshops or presentations, you can go to the Housing Court Answers website. You can also join our newsletters. And once again, thank you, everybody. This is a great presentation.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Tiara, and thank you, Housing Court Answer, for hosting us.
No
Thank you all. It was a pleasure. And thank you everyone for joining us.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Be well.
Bye.